What happens to this country if the rights of ordinary citizens can no longer be enforced by caring, successful lawyers? What happens to this country? Where else can you learn what you are going to learn through the process of becoming part of the TLC tribe? You won't learn it all here, but you'll get an introduction to it and you'll become acquainted with it. Where else can you do that and learn that except in this organization? There isn't another organization anywhere that can teach you to be trial lawyers. The reason is that there isn't another organization that understands that it all begins with you, that it all begins by becoming a person. How many of you have had a course called How to Become a Human Being? Any of you? Well, but isn't that what trial lawyering is about? Is one human being speaking to other human beings? Isn't that what a trial lawyer does? He or she speaks to human beings who are jurors and to a judge who is some would claim they are human beings. And if you are. Now, how can you communicate with a human being if you are not a human being? Can you communicate adequately to a sick calf without being a cow? Can you communicate with anybody or anything unless you are that somebody or that thing? But we cannot communicate to jurors unless we are human beings ourselves. And I will make a proposition, give you a proposition. You have never walked before a jury of 12 people who weren't more human than you. They were ordinary people and hadn't developed any kind of this stuff that we learn in law school to cover our feelings. They don't know anything about being able to argue. They are just human beings that have a life of their own, that are trying to tell the truth to each other and are trying to survive. That's who a jury is. We don't like them all. We can't relate to every one of them, but there is something in every one of them that is more human than we are. We have lost our our humanness in the process of law school. That's the great gift that they gave to us, is to grab out and to take out and to twist and to destroy the humanness that we have. So that when we got out of law school, we are hanging around in the left brain.
Contemplated while they were in my house. The violence just came too close. My wife said, "This doesn't go. You don't bring this home to the house," and she was right.
No mobsters in the home.
Place of business and a place for everything else. And life is snuffed. Then I realized the cheapness of life. The biggest time I realized that was when Trini was killed. One day he was among us, and then he was gone. There was a guy as big as a house, He was in his mid-40s, strong as a bull, could probably pluck off your head like a plum. Bam. All it took was one shotgun blast and he was gone. One shotgun blast. In the basement of the house. He was alleged to have killed people, sold narcotics, extortionate, gambling, assaults, guns. Whatever crime you can think of, he was probably alleged to have done it. He's a violent man. I saw him throw a guy right through a jukebox one time. Not into a jukebox, through a jukebox. Damn jukebox folded up like a cartoon. Whap! He picked him up and threw him.
And he was a client.
Trini, oh, close as close could be. I mean, you couldn't get a closer client than that. I like Trini a lot. Frightening man. Funny as a son of a bitch, but frightening.
Did you like him in spite of this or because of it?
In spite of it, because he was always gentle to me. I'm not attracted to violence. You know, when I was a kid,
Wait a second.
I'm not attracted to violence. This is a business to me. It's nothing more. I don't want to be in the presence of people getting hurt. I don't want to see people hurt other people. I don't get any pleasure out of that. None at all. I'm a criminal lawyer. I got to deal with criminals. If I was a gynecologist, you know what I'd be dealing with.
So you make the transition from organized crime to gangster rap.
Who needs to be consistent? I don't do rap exclusively, nor do I do Wise Guys exclusively. I'm still doing both simultaneously. I have no problem. I haven't given up my old clientele.
How you doing, Mr. Lee?
Fine.
Well, you look like a nice fella.
My wife thinks so.
Well, Mr. Lee, I expect that you believe here that the county is negligent. That's true, isn't it?
That's my belief.
And you want the jury to believe it, don't you?
Certainly.
As a matter of fact, that's your purpose being here, isn't it? Is to kind of convince the folks on the jury that the county wasn't negligent.
I'm here for whatever purpose you wished me to be here.
Well, but wasn't that why you came, was to convince the jury that the county wasn't negligent?
I will provide the facts on our side, yes.
Didn't you want to convince the jury that the county wasn't negligent?
My attorney will take care of that.
Don't you want to answer the question? It's all right if you don't want to answer the question. I'll ask you another one. If you were wanting to convince the jury that the county wasn't negligent, there are certain ways a fella could do that. Isn't that right?
I suppose so.
Certain techniques.
You're more familiar with that than I am.
Well, I don't know whether I am or not. I never did have a coach to tell me how to testify. Did you have a coach?
Briefly we did, yes.
Oh. Did the coach kind of practice your testimony with you so that you could convince the jury that the county is negligent?
No, we didn't get into details like that.
Or did she tell you anything? Was it a he or she, a he coach or a she coach?
It was a lady.
Lady. And did she, did you kind of go over how you were going to act on the witness stand?
Not in this particular case. It was a general session that we had.
Just a little bit of a session.
Yes.
About how to testify.
Yes.
It was called a witness consultant, wasn't it? I mean, the woman?
The lady?
Yes, the lady.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And it was her idea that in order to tell the truth to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that is, to tell the truth to the folks, that you got to be coached, right? Isn't that true?
I don't believe I have to be coached, no.
Well, but you were coached. Somebody must have believed that you needed coaching. Well, sir, let me ask you a question now. Now, I don't mean to be personal or anything like that, but do you have a coach when you go home to try to explain things to the wife? I mean, do you hire a coach to kind of help you tell the truth to Mama?
I've never done that, no.
No. Or do you hire a coach when you want to tell the truth and the facts to the boss?
That all comes with experience.
No, well, wait a minute. Could I get you to answer the question? Do you hire a coach to help you tell the truth to the boss?
No, I never have.
Do you remember any time that you ever hired a coach to help you explain anything in the world except that the county wasn't negligent in this case? Mr. Witness, please.
I've never hired a coach.
No.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce one of America's legends, fabulous lawyer Jerry Spence. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Every lawyer, every person who's watching this show right now wants to know one thing. How do you do it? How do you win in court so many times with a record like yours? You've never lost a criminal case. How do you do it? What's the strategy that you employ?
Well, I think the first thing that you have to say to yourself is, do you really care?
Do most lawyers
If you really care, you open yourself up to a lot of risks. What if I lose? What if the person that I care about, I watch him walk out of the courtroom with the chains of the marshal on him, and he's being drug out to an ugly, horrid place called a prison, or maybe even worse, to something called a death house. What if I lost that case? I mean, could I stand it? Or if I don't care, then maybe if I don't care, I won't have to take the risk and I won't feel it. So the issue is, do you care? If you don't care, you can't win.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle certain emotions within yourself when you take on a case? For example, what does it feel like to have the power to win?
Well, let me talk some more about caring.
That's important.
If I don't care, how can I ask a jury to care? I mean,
a surprising way at the Vatican Sunday, just after Pope Francis spoke in St. Peter's Square, children released 2 white doves as a symbol of peace. The peace didn't last long. A black crow and a seagull went after the doves in front of the crowd. The birds managed to escape after only losing a few feathers.
So unusual.
It is.
It's very unusual. Little piece of trivia for you from our
rocky shores of the Gaza Strip. A buried treasure lost for centuries resurfaces. This fisherman says he found a 6-foot bronze statue of the Greek god Apollo.
There were 5 of us on the beach trying to pull it. The weight of the statue under the sea was different than out of the sea. On the beach, 5 people weren't able to carry it. We finally put it on a small cart and turned it upside down.
But shortly after the statue's discovery and a brief appearance on eBay, police from the Islamist group Hamas seized it. They say they're investigating the affair. Many archaeologists have yet to see the statue, which is estimated of being at least 2,000 years old.
It's unique. It's unique.